Chaplain Clark will now deliver the invocation.
Would you all join me in a moment of prayer? God of all power and might, we are truly grateful to be in your presence today as you move to accomplish your work among us here at Takatatu, and especially here at the 771st. Today's is a bittersweet day indeed, bitter because we're experiencing change, and experience has taught us that change can have negative connotation. However, it is sweet because we're confident that not all change is bad, but can indeed and will indeed be good. So in that spirit, I ask for your goodness to follow Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Ream and his incredible wife, Erin. May the work they've placed into their time here at Edwards continue to be fruitful. May the work of their hand as they go to Wright Pat continue to bring personal and communal fulfillment as they each continue to stir up the gifts that you've instilled in them. And as the winds of change bring your goodness, I also pray your blessing upon Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Lemaire and his family, especially his wife Katie, their daughters Chloe and Noelle. I pray that all of their leadership here at the 771st continues them in their purpose and gifting and allows them to be happy members of this community. We're confident that Edwards will be better for their presence in this role. Finally, Mighty One, I pray continual blessing over the women and men here at the Bath. In the moments where life seems to be in a vacuum of sound, if you will, and in solitude, remind each member of their value to you, to this community, and to the mission. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Clark. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Today's change of command ceremony is deeply rooted in military tradition and dates back to the reign of King Frederick of Prussia. During this time, organizational flags were developed with color arrangements and symbols unique to each unit. When a change of command was to take place, the outgoing commander would pass the flag to the individual assuming command. This gesture was accomplished in front of the unit, so all could see and witness their new leader assuming command. This symbolic tradition has survived through military history and will be a part of our ceremony today. It is my great pleasure to introduce Colonel J.A. Orson, Commander, 412th Electronic Warfare Group. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lieutenant Eaton. Thank you, Chaplain Clark, and thank you to our honor guard for coming here and doing that amazing thing that you do, reminding us about that great country that we serve, the United States of America. So thank you for being here. Colonel Gordon, Dano, and family. This is a really great day. Change of commands, as already been mentioned, are kind of really an epitome of what most officers strive to do when we cross that blue line, right? We enter the force as technical experts, but most of us strive to leave the force as commanders. And that's an amazing thing that we're going to talk about today. Command is a burden, right? It's a yoke. And I think none of us take that yoke lightly, because that means that we've been not only entrusted to the mission of our United States Air Force and the test wing, but the responsibilities that go with it. Command gives us special position. It's called out, right? It's one of the only positions that is called out independent of our career field. It doesn't matter if you're a maintenance officer, you're a test officer, you're an engineer, you're a pilot, you're a medical officer. When you assume the yoke of command, you all have the exact same title, commander. That's innately important, right? Because it talks about leading. It talks about taking us where we need to go. It's that amazing thing that I mentioned on in my first commander's call about where you have to balance the mission and people. Two conflicting things that are always the number one priority, but you can only have one number one. Often, right, people come first, but often mission has to come first. And it's the commander's job to be able to balance those two. So I think it's great that we're here today to talk about how we're going to take a change of command between these two awesome gentlemen that are here. I'm going to start out by just sharing a little bit of history of Bandit because he has done a remarkable job. But he did not get to be a commander that he is without the journey that has taken him to this point. Some of that journey started when he was younger in Telluride, trying to understand how to breathe high oxygen or in little bits of oxygen, whatever, up in the mountains. Got his double E degree, which I'm very fond of, from Cornell University, and then joined our lovely Air Force. His first assignment was as a maintenance officer in Lakenheath, England. That is cool, right? As an engineer, I tried to get over to Europe many a time, never got stationed there. Been blessed with TDYs there, been blessed with TDYs to Iraq and Afghanistan, but never gotten to go live in a foreign country. But while he was there, as a maintenance officer, getting really close and personal with aircraft, he also had to deploy in support of Iraqi freedom and enduring freedom. So, being in a nice spot doesn't mean we shirk our military responsibilities. So, maintenance officer. Went and got his master's at Air Force Institute of Technology, a great place to give the Air Force to pay for you to go to school. Amazing thing. Spent some time at the Air Force Research Labs in Wright Pat, Ohio, where he did numerous things and was introduced to electronic warfare and the amazing things that we do in the test squadron and in the group here at Edwards Air Force Base. In this location, he also deployed a second time, right? This time in support of Marines in Fallujah with some AFRL quick reaction capabilities that were coming out of the labs at that time to try to help good guys fight bad guys and to do it safely. Amazing background. He then went into the world of data mast. What is data mast? That means he had the ability to go and do things for our country that are very important and that we just don't talk about a lot. But I did look at his OPRs because we can talk to everything that's on that OPR, right? That's public knowledge, public domain. And what you will notice from all of those is that he was pushing the envelope of our next generation of aircraft platforms at that time, supporting those. But more importantly, he was supporting things like support to SOCOM, support to the people that are deploying to the PACOM theater, again, in support of those warfighters that are actually employing those amazing weapon systems that we test here at Edwards Air Force Base. So that was great. From there, he went off to the Pentagon, which is actually an important thing in the career path for Air Force officers, especially for technical engineers. Got to do that by going to the Rapid Capabilities Office. Don't know if many of you know that, but that is kind of our special programs place where we go procure a lot of stuff. In that job, he not only got to see the acquisition side of our career field, he was actually got to do staffing at that headquarters level. Killed two birds with one stone in a program office as well as a headquarters Pentagon staff. But I think the most important part about going to the Pentagon was the fact that during that time he was going off through a bunch of church groups and he met the lovely lady sitting right back there, Erin. I know that they kind of hit it off that some, but they really hit it off when she got to go TDY to a location where Bandit was, and they kind of hit it off, and as you know, the rest is history. So good thing for the Rapid Capabilities Office dragging him to Washington, D.C. Finally did some more data mass stuff and kind of the same kind of support stuff that I already talked about, and then he landed here at the 771st. He came here through years of experience, prepared to take that yoke of command. And I want to say thank you for the amazing job that you have done during your command. Right? Not only did you support the mission, which was an amazing thing, right? Doing electronic warfare for, name a platform, F-35, B-2, B-1, F-35, KC-46, next-gen tanker. You did a lot with taking care of people. Not many of us were expecting to fight the fight of COVID when we took command. That was not, right? That was not in our sight picture when we joined the Air Force many years ago. But it is the thing that you dealt with, and you did that very well. Not only did you do that, but you kind of instilled in all those young civilians and members of your the 771st kind of that intrigue to think ahead, to start looking at how do I do software data analysis tools better? How do I work on machine learning, cognitive EW? How do I do software development better? All those things that round us out as engineers. And so for that, I thank you a ton. And I am excited to be here. All right, let's move on to our next guest, Slow Jam Ryan Lemaire. And I don't know how he got his call sign for being slow, but I think maybe it's his Louisiana upbringing, a little bit of Cajun love there. If you notice, he's pretty quiet. But I will say, when he speaks, pay attention, right? Because he's also bringing a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table to help us push the path forward. His journey is a little different. All of our journeys are a little different. He and his beloved bride in the front row, I guess, met or knew each other through speech and debate and other things way earlier in their lives. But it took, I think you said it's your brother's wedding for the two of you to actually start, getting the 2x4 slapped across his face so that he understood something was important here, and started, creating that great history. Katie, but Chloe, right? Born in Texas, a great military brat. By the way, I have 3 of them. They're all great Americans. And then Noelle, also born in Eglin. One thing I have to say is, for you guys and you ladies, get ready for a ride, right? I am a firm believer that when we don the uniform, we don't don the uniform alone. We don the uniform with our spouses and our families. And they serve in equal parts and equal measure to what we do. They don't get to pin awards on their chest. They don't get to do the things that we get to do, but they serve every 100% as much as we do. So there might be some late nights that your dad's got to do. There might be some travel where he's not going to come home some days. But I want you to know he's doing that because he's pushing the boundaries of test. He's pushing the boundaries of our platforms in survivability and electronic warfare to help our Air Force be the best Air Force on this planet, and the most lethal and the most survivable, so that when our pilots fly off, they can also come home. But not only can they survive, but they can actually execute the mission. So I thank you in advance for all the things you're going to do to support your old man, all right? That's awesome. All right, another thing about family is I'm glad to see parents show up. Christine and Paul, thank you for being here. It's very important for us to support the things that we can do with our family. You should be very proud of what not only Slow Jam's already done, but what he will do, because I have utter faith and confidence in this man's ability to protect and to serve our nation. So with that, I don't want to take that much more time, but I wanted to make sure that we shared a little bit about these guys' histories, about why they're up here to do this solemn thing about Take Command. And I'm excited to have them here. I'm excited that we can, keep this thing going and actually get a change of command going. So with that, I hand the keys back to you.
Thank you, Colonel Orson. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Colonel Orson will now present the Meritorious Service Medal to Lieutenant Colonel Ream. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of Meritorious Service Medal. Lieutenant Colonel Christopher R. Ream distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commander 771st Test Squadron, 412th Electronic Warfare Group, 412th Test Wing, Air Force Test Center, Edwards Air Force Base, California. During this period, Colonel Ream deftly led a dynamic squadron of 75 civilian and military engineers in the execution of 64 different test programs, enabling critical new capabilities to be fielded for the B-1, B-2, F-22, F-35, and KC-46 platforms. He crafted a hiring strategy to repair the squadron's 22% lapse rate and led a surge in recruiting and hiring activity. He deployed new communication tools and policies which allowed the squadron to seamlessly and rapidly pivot to 100% telework in response to the COVID-19 pandemic while maintaining high levels of productivity and connectedness. Colonel Ream has championed innovative efforts throughout the squadron, from artificial intelligence-based data analysis tools to data product standardization to adopting industry best practices in code and data management in order to produce more timely and relevant information to test customers. Finally, he has grown the squadron's electronic warfare university by adapting some courses to be taught in a virtual format, cultivating new instructors and course content from within the squadron, and pursuing partnerships to provide relevant electronic warfare training to outside organizations. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Ream reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Thank you, Colonel Orson. Please be seated. Lieutenant Colonel Ream, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, well, good morning, everybody, distinguished guests, fellow commanders, directors, family, friends, colleagues joining us both here in person and virtually. Thank you all for being with us this morning and for helping us mark another chapter in the remarkable history of the 771st Test Squadron. To Lieutenant Eaton and to Lita and to the Honor Guard, the media services folks, to everyone who's helped put the service together, again, my personal thanks for all the hard work that has gone into making this happen this morning. I know these things just don't come together magically. So one of the things that I've been learning over the last few years is the importance of rhythms and routines. For a long time, I sort of scoffed at rhythms and routines, wondering if the habit of just repeating things sort of makes us lazy about innovation, or maybe it's sort of lacking the energy and that sort of let's do something new attitude that we like. Yet I've come to believe that rhythms and routines are really important. They provide a way of marking time, of establishing unique and distinctive characteristics for an organization, and they're an important way of getting people plugged into and connected to the enduring history of an organization that is far more interesting and compelling than anything that we can build in person. A change of command ceremony like the one we are participating in today is an important one of those sort of rhythms and routines. We're marking the passing of 2 years as command of the 771st passes from myself to Lieutenant Colonel Lemaire. We're seeing for the first or perhaps the 50th time one of these unique formal ceremonies that are particular to the United States Air Force. And we can take some time to pause and to reflect on the last 2 years, the events, the milestones, and most importantly, that great work that the men and women of the 771st Test Squadron have done. As I look back over the last 2 years, the one thing that immediately comes to mind is people. We've got a lot of new faces in the squadron. James, Kristen, Santiago, Andrew, Abraham, Anna Marie, Michael, Ben, Jack, Jed, River, Dakota, Taylor, Avery, Aaron, Matt, Ryan, Lita, Keith, Valerie, Ronnie, Chantel, Alan, Tanner, Ryan, David, Phil, Sean, Carlos, Aiden, Nick, Kevin, Ben, Andrew, Lewis. All of these are new engineers who joined the 771st in the last 2 years. In my time, I've interacted with a lot of civil service engineers, and one thing about the engineers here at Edwards has always stood out, and that's the uniquely high caliber of people that they are. And I have absolute confidence that this new crop of people is going to continue to raise the bar of the engineers here at Edwards even higher. It's not only people, but in the last two years, there's been a lot of promotions too. We saw 5 771sters make the promotion from the NH3 to the NH4 pay band. We've hired 3 new flight chiefs. Folks within the 771st have been selected to go on to be chief engineers and CTF deputy directors. And then there's those projects, the things that our people do out there day in and day out in the CTFs that sort of make Edwards Edwards. At any one time, folks in the 771st are working on some 50 different projects across the entire test wing. And it's interesting to look back over the last 2 years and see what's done and what's changed. When I first got here in 2019, the F-35 team was talking about testing the 30R04 software revision. Today, they've got 2 additional software versions under their belts and are hard at work at 2 more in the future. 2 years ago, countermeasures effectiveness was just an icon on some long-range planning schedule. Now it's a delivered test report. Over in the bomber country, 2 years ago, the B-1 team was cranking away on the PFS 635 program, and the B-2 team was getting ready for this, what was going to be a giant test program called DMSM. Now, as we fast forward 2 years, the B-1 team just this week began testing the PFS 642 program in the building right behind us, and unfortunately, the B-2 DMSM program is now canceled. 2 years ago, the Global Hawk ASIP program was one of our largest efforts over in the Global Vigilance CTF. Now that program is in the complete column, and the Global Hawk EW team has mostly been disbanded as we follow the sort of natural process of moving our engineers around the test wing to where the work is needed. On the opposite end of the spectrum, over in the Global Reach CTF, 2 years ago we had just one person, had a one-person presence down there. And then subsequently over the last couple of years, we've built that up to a team of 4 as the EW test programs for the KC-46 and the Air Force One replacement really began to take steam. Things are rarely quiet over in the fighter world. Back in 2019, they were, sort of relatively speaking. They were doing lots of test planning, organizing, lots of meetings, trying to balance 4 different foreign customers that we were working with. Now today we are seeing the fruit of those hard planning and provisioning labors as we see that both Singapore and Korea test programs hitting major milestones for their programs towards completion. 2 years ago, the 420th Flight Test Squadron didn't even exist, and now it does. 2 years ago, no one could really figure out what the emerging technology CTF did other than fly drones. Now they're becoming recognized experts in autonomy and artificial intelligence. 2 years ago, in the F-22 CTF, there was no Project Domino mission, Michigan or Wisconsin. Now those programs are providing critical data for key decision makers and once again proving the value of why we test. The Harpy Eagle team took what was already a pretty busy testing tempo across their entire portfolio of projects and accelerated it even further, while at the same time adding new capabilities like the Free Willy Pod to our arsenal. And then there's even more that we can't talk about in a public forum like this, but if we could, you would see the same themes coming through over and over. That is, important EW test programs being executed smoothly by very talented engineers. Much has also changed around us in the last 2 years. I probably went to perhaps a dozen EWG staff meetings before I ever heard the term JSE. Now they're actually a full-fledged division on their way to becoming a full-fledged squadron as part of the EWG. This impressive facility that we're sitting in today and all the dirt that's moving around next door is part of the construction project that will house them, and we've got engineers participating in technical working groups and writing test plans very actively today. Back in January of 2020, I remember taking my laptop with me on a TDY and spending a couple of hours in the hotel fighting with some terrible VPN and webmail apps trying to sign some document electronically. Today, thankfully, our tools have vastly improved, and I can seamlessly connect to all of the regular electronic resources from home just as easily as I can from my office. As you can see, members of the 771st have done a tremendous amount of work and have covered a lot of ground over the last 2 years. So let me just conclude by saying what a pleasure it has been to be the squadron commander of the 771st Test Squadron. This is an incredible group of smart, dedicated, and hardworking people who do some truly interesting work. And I have every confidence that the squadron will continue to do incredible work for the Air Force and for the nation, in the days, months, and years ahead. Good luck, Godspeed, and thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Ream. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed with the 771st Test Squadron Change of Command Ceremony. Colonel Orson and Lieutenant Colonel Lemaire, please join Lieutenant Colonel Ream at center stage. Please stand. Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Headquarters, United States Air Force, Washington, D.C. Under the provisions of Air Force Instruction 51-604, by order of Colonel J.A. Orson, Commander, 412th Electronic Warfare Group, Lieutenant Colonel Ryan P. Lemaire is hereby appointed as Commander of the 771st Test Squadron, effective 26 May, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Ryan P. Lemaire, Commander, 771st Test Squadron.
Good morning, everyone. So I just want to echo my thanks and welcome to everybody for being here today. And I especially want to thank Lieutenant Eaton and Lita for organizing the ceremony, and then Lieutenant Reed and Kyle for helping out, and all the people that helped set up and everything. And especially to Lita for organizing the lunch after, which I hope everybody sticks around for. Should be some good food. I also want to thank Chaplain Clark and the Honor Guard for being here and helping make it such a memorable event today. So thanks for that. Colonel Gordon, Mr. Osborne, distinguished visitors, EWG and Edwards leaders, and members of the 771st Test Squadron, thank you also for taking your time out of your busy schedules to be here today. I appreciate all the support over the past year, and I look forward to continue to working with you in this new capacity. And Colonel Orson, thank you for the trust and confidence you placed in me. Like you said, Squadron Command is a huge honor with significant responsibilities and important responsibilities, so I'm humbled and appreciate the opportunity. And to Mom and Dad, thanks for being here and at all the other significant events throughout my career. And Katie, thank you for your love and dedication. You've sacrificed a lot supporting my dream to be in the Air Force, and I couldn't have done it without your support, knowing that the kids had such a great mom at home. Now we go further than Colonel Orson, and I always say that they have a more difficult job than I do, being an Air Force spouse and Air Force family, so I appreciate it. And thanks also to Chloe and Noel for being such great kids and making it so easy on Mom and I. Love you guys. Thanks for your support. And to Bandit, thank you for the leadership of the 771st over the last 2 years and the example and guidance you gave to me over the past year. I truly appreciate it and learned a lot from our discussions on how to handle the different situations affecting the squadron. So thank you for this insight, and it's an all too rare experience in the Air Force to have such an extended handover period. So I'm blessed to be coming into this. Your outstanding leadership has made the 771st an outstanding organization, so I'm truly blessed to be coming into such a great place. And I wish you and Aaron the best at Wright Pat and all your future endeavors. So I've had many great jobs in the Air Force, many great jobs, experiences, and opportunities in my career, but I've always looked forward to the opportunity of being a squadron commander, just like Colonel Orson alluded to. I'm especially excited to get that opportunity as the commander of the 771st for many reasons. Namely, the extremely motivated, intelligent, and dedicated men and women of the squadron, but also since we touch every part of this amazing Edwards test mission with personnel at every CTF around the base. To add to that, electronic warfare is a critical capability in our military actions in every domain. So maintaining our spectrum of superiority is of utmost importance in our ability to operate in, engage, and return safely from contesting environments while denying our adversaries the ability to do the same. Therefore, the effectiveness of every platform relies on maintaining the competitive advantage. So we have an incredibly important mission in the 771st. So thanks to everyone for what you do for our nation. I look forward to continuing to work alongside with you to deliver the finest capabilities to our warfighters. So thanks again for coming and appreciate the support.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Lemaire. Lieutenant Colonel Lemaire, Mrs. Lemaire, Chloe, and Noel, the men and women of the 771st Test Squadron welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and join us in the playing of the Air Force song, followed by the departure of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. You are now invited to join us in welcoming our new commander at a lunch being served to your left. We ask that you please remain in place for a brief moment until our distinguished visitors and official party have departed. Thank you for attending and have a great Air Force Day. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Watch your step.
Want me to go get the